Okay, we're getting the white pieces. Let's see what opponent has in store for us against the London. So against the move order with e6, we're going to be starting with bishop f4. Because if we're playing knight f3, opponent could potentially go c5 and there's no way to either get like a typical Benoni or a London there. So it could be getting pretty weird. Just play this. So on c5, there's e3. He plays the Dutch. He doesn't know that Dutch is losing against our London system. So we're going to play knight f3. And this is just a little bit of a joke. The Dutch is not losing, but I think we've got a pretty good line in the course that's giving us quite a nice advantage. So, bishop d6, remember covering this in the course as well. I know that both playing something like bishop e2 or taking should be pretty good. I think in the course I'm recommending bishop takes on d6 if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm just gonna go with that. Play bishop e2. Could also start with c4. Yeah, I think I want to start with c4 here. So, let's talk a little bit about this push. So, c3 or c4. Everyone's confused about that. Most of the people are actually like really struggling to understand when to play c3 and when to play c4 in the London. As a rule of thumb, against the Dutch, we always play with c4. It's just we never do c3 in the Dutch. As simple as that. Let's not get into more details about the specifics. Just remember, when it's a Dutch, we're going to be needing the c-pawn push. So we see bishop d6. Could do it directly. Kind of want to do it directly. It's not like forced. I'll just do it directly and knight c3 just in case he plays d5 takes. We take with a bishop. Expecting castle. We'll just play knight c3, bishop e2. Bishop's kind of tough to get in the game. Could potentially try developing it this way, but I think we're going to be just sort of fully expanding on the queen side, so... also, like whenever he gets like bishop to b7, an idea to shut that down could be d5, and this bishop ends up looking quite funny. Okay, opponent timing down a little bit, like we did. Maybe he's watching the stream. Maybe he's like trying to pick up some insights on the position or on what he's supposed to play. That's less likely, but okay, he plays b6, so who knows. Just gonna do knight c3. The bishop to b7. Could like really go d5, try to shut it down. It's actually not such a stupid move. Could play knight b5, trying to hit this, most likely forcing queen e7. But then actually allows a fork. So I'm seeing opportunity. Is he gonna be playing king e7? Maybe just c5 there. Knight b5, knight e4 though. Let's not forget about that. Knight b5, knight e4 covers it. So then the knight on b5 just looks silly. So I think we'll just have to play bishop e2 and castle. Keep it simple for now. And maybe later on push d5. I think that is basically the plan. To me, still a mystery how he's gonna develop the BA knight. So, just gonna get our development nice and smooth, no weaknesses, all the pieces on the right squares. Notice that I'm not developing the bishop to d3 because sometimes it could get hit by e5, e4. Now if they push e5, e4, whatever version, we can just move the knight away without getting forked. And okay, he plays knight a6, which is already a little bit dodgy. I think I want to push b4, but that's gonna be taken by the knight. So from that perspective, I could either play a3 or rook b1, b4. Which one do we like better? I think I like a3 a little bit better. I just feel like this rook maybe doesn't want to commit to b1 this early, and we're gonna get b5. I mean b4 push no matter what. I feel like this knight will potentially maneuver to c7, and we could still use the rook onto the a file. Probably it's a pretty close call there. It's maybe not like a big difference either. But when they go e5, to me that looks just hanging upon, isn't it? Gonna be taking, hitting this. Bishop f3 we take, hitting the rook, so it's gonna be double attack. So That is most likely a blunder, and we're gonna meet DE with 95. That is a free pawn. So let's see what he has in mind. So DE, knight takes, maybe queen e7. Still a nice sort of vision sook there is bishop f3, just hitting this guy, and after take can take back with a knight potentially. Could also just very well, queen e7, knight f3 back, retreat, play that position where up a pawn, just push b4, rook c1. Yeah, we're gonna have that on the board most likely. Okay, he goes to c7, which is maybe a little bit of a strange square. Just hitting my knight. I could still do bishop f3, same idea. But I think you can just step back, keep it very simple. Idea to play rook c1, knight d5, potentially hitting the queen. Is he gonna go f4 like ever? Kinda doubt that. Maybe we just take and play like queen takes queen d4. If he doesn't do like anything critical, rook c1, knight d5, I think it's what we're playing for, and I think there's not really that much counterplay against it. We're having the extra pawn, all the pieces on the right squares, it seems. Yeah, knight g4, threatening the cheap trick. See, this is typical 1400 move, threatening to take and then mate. Otherwise, they're just misplacing the knight. So now, h3 would be typical kind of blunder because of bishop f3. Still, we can take the knight and that's alright, but you want to keep this thing in mind, and I think we're just gonna, like, this is great move if, I'm sleeping or I'm not, like, looking on the board, but if I just play knight d5, he just completely ruins any chances for counterplay. Like, this move just now works so much better after bishop d5. Remember, we were taking with a pawn. Now even taking with a queen is much better because the knight's no longer eyeing that square. So, if you're a 1400 that's looking forward to improve, stop making these kind of moves. Okay, already his position is bad, so maybe that's a good try. But if you're playing these kind of moves on a regular basis, this is the kind of things that's really keeping you down from improving as a player in general. So, see queen d6. Queen feels a little loose on that square, not gonna lie. If we would have some nice discovery, that could be potentially pretty great. There's now discovery though, so we should stop dreaming about that and maybe just make a nice developing queen move. Connecting the rooks. That looks nice to me. Expecting bishop d5. Then we can just go for the endgame with the extra pawn, or could take with the c pawn, or could also play rook a d1. So I think that's a nice move over there. Wait, is he gonna play knight c5 against it? Because knight c5 may set up a knight b3 idea. They could do queen d4, knight c5, rook a d1. I think we don't mind that. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's see. Just centralizing my queen. Could have also considered b4 just to keep his knight kind of out of the game. But yeah, he's playing for the fork again. Just play rook d1, avoid the fork, and we should be good. Idea to play b4 next, then knight e6, knight f6, winning the queen. So watch this. Knight e6, blunders knight f6. I think he's gonna play knight e6. He's like usually kind of player that goes for these kind of concrete moves. Either now or he's gonna do like rook e8, I'm gonna play b4, he's gonna do knight e6, and I'm gonna check and then win his queen. I'm predicting this. Okay, maybe maybe that's not gonna happen. Could also meet like b4 with knight e4, but we'll see. He's definitely timing down. Okay, rook e8. We have to play it b4. Expecting 96. Oh my god, we get that on the board. This is hilarious. No way this actually happened. So now we have this little check. Then the queen remains undefended. The point is the queen can no longer capture that. So we just get to win his full queen. This is hilarious. Oh my god, no way we called it. Jesus Christ, this is insane. I might get accused for using anal beads to find these predictions. I don't know how can I prove that wrong. Takes, pick up the free queen. Knight f4, trying to beat me with my own weapons, but that's a free knight. Gonna take these. Imagine his face. I don't know what his face looked like, but I imagine him resigning now, so that actually happens. All right, we're getting the white pieces and gonna piece. We need to remake that. So we're gonna be pushing the pawn to d4, and the pawn goes d5. Gonna be starting with a knight, and now it's time to get the London system on the board. Get to see a respectable Chigorin with both knights developed. So here we can basically divide this line, this Chigorin variation in two lines when they play with knight f6 or when they delay knight f6. So whenever they are delaying this move, we play with c4 plans. And when they have two knights, we play e3. And now they can either play bishop outside the pawn chain, either f5 or g4, or they can play with e6, which means bishop blocked inside the pawn chain. So when the bishop goes outside, first of all, we do h3. The bishop now either goes back or takes. And whenever it goes back, both against this or when they directly play bishop here, we're going to be playing the bishop b5, g4, knight e5 plan. Against this, just taking with a queen, and should be slightly better with the two bishops. Gonna play c3, preparing to play bishop d3 without allowing knight b4. So gonna do exactly that. Could also start with knight d2. Not sure about this h6 move whatsoever, but I guess it could be intended to meet bishop d3 with d5, and usually one of my ideas was to just play bishop g5, but now with this played, it's actually not so clear. So we might actually go g4, which is something that I recommend in the course, and it might be even better here because they have this hook on h6. So pretty big decision already, and I think we're gonna go with g4. If he castles, that is a gift. He just takes, meaning we can either take with a queen or with the pawn. I tend to believe we take with a queen here. I'm not so sure though. Like queen d6 could be played. Taking with a pawn also seems very reasonable. I think both are fine. Okay, this version is not mentioned in the course, by the way. h6 is not something that I really expect you to face on a regular basis, but something similar is covered without h6. So, big decision time. Pawn or queen. If I take with a queen, what do we do on queen d6? That's what I don't really get. We can trade queens and play that endgame. I don't really know how I feel about that endgame though. Is it like clearly better? I kind of doubt. Can play it though. Yeah, alright, let's do queen. Taking with a pawn was perhaps a little bit easier if you don't want to worry about it, but I think even this endgame could perhaps be instructive. I think we just take and maybe play bishop e2, f3. Yeah, just something like that, and control e4 square. They push e5. It looks like kind of nice for black, but once they run out of active ideas, it's gonna be pretty sad for them. That is my prediction. So I could play bishop d3. Simply developing. If takes, takes. e4 is not a problem. Just developing. I think we prefer king in the middle, maybe like f2 square. He's probably gonna go long castle. And I could do that myself. I could play king f2. I think I like king f2 a bit better. Keeping control over d square. Expecting him to bring the rook. That would be fairly logical. And even that position, I'm not afraid of e4. Like, we can just take, play bishop e2. We're still slightly better with bishop against knight. Plays g5, but that's actually weakening f5 square, so I think it's a small inaccuracy. Also, makes me think about potential knight maneuver. Considering this one as well, just to take, but then e4 is maybe a bit more appealing. e4, bishop e2 though. So I think we start with h4, and against e4 we easily have bishop e2 and keep everything under control. And the threat is not to take, but play rook h3, double up, and then take. So e4 problem is if you take, then he takes with check. But if you just step back with bishop and take here, everything is covered and he's left with two double isolated pawns. Just want to literally do this. I think we're getting pretty decent pressure on the king side. Also, knight f1, knight g3, knight f5 maneuver is pretty important in these positions, but I think that could wait because it was a little bit slow. Just this, again, we don't mind. Getting to double up, and then this becomes a threat because rook will be hanging. Okay, so e4 had to be played sooner or later, just waiting for him to take so we can take back with the bishop. If he doesn't take, we don't mind. Maybe we can even play f4 if he doesn't take. But that's a little bit ambitious, allowing gf, ef, and he has protected pass pawn. Might be good for us because we could get g5, but we might not have to play it. Just do this, take, play rook h6, take advantage of the open file. Oh, that looks like a mistake. Can take, rook h7, knight takes, rook h1. Yeah, I think that's what we do. Take this. Also could throw in fe intermezzo now that he allows me to. Other thing to do is here, knight f6, rook h6. Now, will he play rook e6? Then we have at the very least a check. Also just take this and we're like, I think clearly better. Yeah, I think that's how we do it. Just considering all the options like knight f6, rook h6, rook e6. Yeah, that's kind of not good because he's threatening knight g4. So I think taking is the way to go. Even though I'm undoubling his pawns are still gonna be kind of weak. So maybe also this move could be considered. But then knight f6 hitting this, so I think we start with king g3, knight f6, and then rook f1 is the idea. King is pretty well placed. Thing is, rook h1 is nice, but we have the target on the f file, so we may want to prioritize that. Plays f6. Now knight is pretty vulnerable. We can either undermine it with c4 or try something like maneuver the bishop. I think c4 is pretty natural and strong idea though. Hitting the pawn and dc bishop takes, just simply threatening to win these pawns one by one. Doesn't really have such a big alternative. Like 97 I might not even take if he plays there, because if I take, he gets with my e3 pawn. So 97 I might be playing knight b1, knight c3, just improving the position and then eventually taking on d5 when his knight cannot reach that position. Okay, let's see. So 97. Yeah, I don't think we have anything better, to be honest. Like on 97, maybe c5 could be interesting and try to expand there as well. Okay, against this, I was thinking a3. Do we need to watch out for knight c2? I think we kind of do. Okay, that's maybe a bit problematic. But also just play rook c1. Then he takes. Rook a1 takes a7. I'm not loving this. I don't love the fact that I allowed a3 knight c2, but then maybe king f2 just wins. Then rook c1 and knight is literally trapped. So I think we have this as a strong move. Yeah, he plays knight d3, but that's I think just takeable, isn't it? So we take and just need to protect the pawn, so maybe king f3. This is still hanging, pawn is very weak, probably will drop. Okay, other than that, I have cd5 move, knight b2. Is that a problem? On knight b2 I have rook b1, knight back to d3, takes, and then play e4. No, that's better even. I think we like this even better. Watch this. So rook b1, he can't play knight e4 because of bishop b5, I thought. Hitting both knight and rook. So he has to go back, and then we take, and then we push e4. And he's literally paralyzed with so many strong pawns in the center. So he has to take this, otherwise we're threatening to take and then push e4. Yeah, so he doesn't do that and get rid of the knight and push. This might have been a little bit careless, but I think rook c8, rook f3 keeps everything under control. So just to remind everybody, we're playing 5 minutes and we're getting 5 seconds each move. So it's basically pretty tough to lose on time, even if I have 50 seconds. This is considered to be plenty of time to finish from such positions. Don't mean to spoil the fun with that, though. I might very well lose, so. Can bring my king also. Kind of liking that idea even better. Like rook f3, rook c2, rook d3 is even faster. I get it. But I think bringing the king is pretty nice. So he takes that. Honestly, we don't even need to rush with taking his d3 pawn. I think maybe we can just start pushing. Like e5, rook b5, king e4. Would I be weird for playing it that way? Okay, weird means different, so gonna go for it. Here, if rook back, king d3. Oh, by the way, I have huge threat. Maybe could have played that previous move as well. I was just like not really paying attention. You know, I had to read chat. It's all about priorities. Very good excuse as always. Threatening rook f7, so king e7 kind of only move as far as I can see, but maybe just pick up the pawn. Looks good to me. Okay, opponent taking his time. Could do rook h1, knight f8. Maybe rook h8? I don't know about that. What I can do is though... Oh, so he just goes there, but that's check and pick up the free knight. The rook d5, but just king e4, protecting my pawn and attacking his rook. Plays there, just pick up b7. Could be good. Could also do e6 and just focus on activity. Yeah, I think we focus on activity here, like rook a3, king e5. Rook a2, just kind of king f6, play it for the mate and promote the pawn. This is not like the simplest way of playing it, but I think it's the best. Just king e5. Big flat. Big flat again. King d8 only move to avoid mate, but just check and e7. Also could do e7 now, but then king d7. So better to start with the check. Push the pawn. There's no way for the opponent to stop it. You can just give a check, but then move the king to f7 or anywhere really. And we should be winning this one. Yeah, just give me a new queen. I would like that. Not sure what's like the most precise way to mate. I guess can start with a check. Okay, and now what is my second check? Come on, we've got to mate this with checks. Why am I not seeing the mate? Okay, that should be mate in 2 moves. And there we have it. All right, I think that actually ended up being pretty instructive endgame. Let's actually check whether it was any precise. I think we got like a pretty thematic, slightly better endgame. That's we just kept pushing the whole time, just with bishop against knight. In the long run, it was better. We actually scored the 93, so cannot really complain about that either. I did really like nothing special. It's just that traded queens and just the endgame. I kind of knew it was better. Bishop d3, king f2. g5 felt inaccurate, but other than that, we might be pushing on this side if he does not play it. Just rook h3. Okay, so computer thinks rook f1 was inaccuracy. Oh, so they like it this way. Watch this. So computer plays here, and then they get like the ultimate tempo with rook f1. Okay, pretty funny. And after rook e6, rook f5, there's actually no way to protect the pawn. What I was actually curious was whether knight e7, it's all about playing knight b1. I think that's what I would have done. Okay, knight b1 is reasonable but inaccuracy. Idea of knight b1 is if they play nothing, I just want to play knight c3. We get into this position, this is like easy win. Pawns dropping. But yeah, I agree it might be a bit more precise to do. Rook h1 and then rook h8, and the opponent's kind of paralyzed. I get that. Getting the white pieces, gonna be going for the super solid London system against the knight move. We're gonna get the bishop out first. And let's see. Splitting either d5 or g6. Yeah, I actually end up seeing the King's Indian, which is like pretty interesting. I think it's maybe first or second time so far below 1500 that we get to face the King's Indian. Against g6, by the way, definitely interesting option is to go for the Jobava London. We don't have that in the course yet, but it's gonna come as an update pretty soon, I guess by the end of the year. And yeah, I'm just gonna be sticking with what's in the course now, which is the positional line, which has been implemented by Garakamsky on a number of occasions. Just play c3, knight e2. Push e4 in the center, if allowed, because they can also play d5 now and get back into a Grunfeld. But yeah, looks like they are allowing it. We're getting basically the main position for the King's Indian, so to speak. Get a nice little center. Common move is here, knight bd7. They could also play c5. They could also play knight c6. All of these are covered in the course, of course. Bishop g4 is also kind of common move for lower rated players, that it's also covered. So let's see what opponent has for us. e5 here, it's not great. It's like sort of playable. according to the engine, but it's not like the best. In fact, if you play like a human after e5, it can easily be lost, I think. Even the position after knight e7 bishop e2 e5, I think it's quite dubious. I'm having a huge score against that. I ran against it a few times in my, I think on my main account even. Okay, opponent pausing. I guess what I did was very surprising and he's out of book. Normally, like the King's Indian players are just gonna be pushing the e5 moves. They'll do either knight c6 or knight somewhere, try to push e5. That's what every King's Indian player would do, in my opinion. So he just plays knight e7, gonna go bishop e2. This is just the square for the bishop. Now e5 doesn't work great because the bishop is on e2. And the tactics are not gonna be working that well. So they can play rook e8 now. This is common move in the position. They could also do knight h5. I think this is also mentioned in the course. So yeah, we see rook e8. They want to go e5. And really the easiest way to remember our move here, that is h3. And that's like a pretty weird move if you think of it. Like, why would you ever randomly play h3? You may be wondering. Well, the thing is, whenever they are pushing e5, so this is already obvious what they are preparing. They have played knight bd7 and then rook e8. So they made two moves in a row. That is preparing the e5 push. And whenever they are ready to do that, yeah, there's no way to stop it. And we want to be able to meet de, and just play bishop e3. But when we play bishop e3, you want to make sure there's no knight hopping around annoying your bishop. So for this reason, here we play the move h3. And after e5, just takes, play bishop e3. Yeah, that's so far very standard. They could also take with a knight. I think you can just trade a pair of knights and do the same structure. Play bishop e3. I think both moves are sort of similar. Just go castle, queen c2, push on the queen side. That is basically the idea. Let's see what opponent has in mind. So he just plays b6. I think can simply castle on bishop b7, just queen c2, protecting the pawn. It's anyways a move that we would have played. So now the b6 hook can be used with a4, a5. Just try to expand there. If they play a5 themselves, maybe just b4 push or prepare it with rook fb1. c5 is actually not something very common because it gives me some bishop b5. Can get the kiss on the rook. Could also just maybe go rook d1, knight c4. It's just that these directly kind of forces rook e7 or rook f8, which is a little bit clumsy, I think, for them. Could also just do the push. Is he gonna do a6? k4 is still like pretty standard. See whether he plays a6 or not. In case of a6, maybe a5 undermining, because we win c5 and on queen c7 just push maybe. If they take, I think we're gonna be able to regain that pawn sooner or later. Maybe simply just f3 and then try to win it. If they don't take, we might push a6. We might take. This is just sort of a nice move to have, I would say. Okay, so he does take, which is interesting. I think in just protect d4, just try to regain the pawn now. This is a pretty nice pawn construction, especially against the bishop. It looks like we're creating weak squares, but I think it's definitely worth to shut down his light squared bishop. So rook d8. So I'm thinking to play knight c4. Is he gonna go bishop a6 there? I kinda doubt, but just in case, I may want to start this way, keeping his bishop passive and attacking both pawns. Because if he plays c4, we take. Pawn is weak. Bishop a6 only move. But then... Okay, what do we do after that? Could also throw this in like basically any time. Or bishop c4. So knight c4, bishop a6. Is that actually like a problem? All of my pieces are protected. Could just do this as well. So many tempting moves. I think just queen a4 maybe is simplest. Just win this pawn back. Hey, thank you for that, Papa Botes. How are you doing? You wanna go to bed? Go to bed. Should sleep when you feel tired. Unless you have work or something. It's pretty funny. Sometimes I have lesson and I don't wake up. That doesn't happen very often though. If you wanna be my student, don't be afraid of that. Okay, queen a4. I'm just threatening to win back the a5 pawn. And then potentially collect his queens one by one. So yeah, queen b6, but now knight c4, hitting the queen. I really like that. Yo, Fiendvar, thank you for the 5 gifters, dude. Appreciate it. Holy smokes, crazy support. Thanks for that, buddy. Appreciate it. Also, Papa Botes is actually going to the gym. So what are you doing at the gym? Are you working out? I'd be curious if you could share your splits. That would be pretty interesting. Okay, so bishop c6. That's unfortunately just losing a piece because we can take, and when they take my queen, I can take back, basically rescuing the knight. In the process, I win the queen and the bishop, and he only wins one queen. Stay back this way. Having the extra piece really, I mean, made no like tough moves this game, to be honest. So just need to get in the setup, play a5. They weaken themselves. We take their pawns. We steal their ratings, and you know the rest. Are we stealing their women? I don't know. That might be going a little bit too far. We're just playing the London system after all. Okay, we're hitting the rook. Let's see what they have in mind. Okay, rook e7. Still, I can just take. Can take with a knight. Yeah, I think we do that. Playing the local squash city league. Wait, what is squash? Guys, can you let me know what is that? I think I've heard it before, but I'm not sure what is it. Okay, idea is just to pick up this pawn on the very next move. Not really that much opponent can do about it. That we don't mind because knight is covered. Or at least he was last time I checked. Rook c7, hitting knight. Can just protect. Oh, you play tennis with a wall? Oh, I see. It's like racquetball, I see. So it's like tennis. I've heard, I think I've seen like the same game, but with like a soccer ball. So it's tennis, I see. I think I searched it up once if we have such things around. I think there are some places. But never tried. Wait, is it like different? I thought that's named actually. I thought that's named different. I thought it was yeah, isn't it like what Magnus was playing? I thought it was named that. What's the thing that Magnus was playing? Okay, I think just go rook a1, and I'm playing this so we can recapture back with the rook. Just keep my monster bishop. Okay, just the bishop c5. Even better. Come on, I cannot like actually remember what's the other thing named. It's not squash, it was like something different, but like same idea. You just bishop d5, idea to take. Yeah, we're just gonna be collecting f7 and the rest should be pretty simple. Threatening a pretty deadly discovery. Okay, just gonna collect pawns. Gonna win it the slow way, I guess. Gonna be playing it the slow way. Oh, by the way, Papa Botes, I'm gonna be streaming Dina's games from the Club Cup, I think, between 3 and 9 October. So I'm looking for guests. If you wanna join, you're welcome anytime. Okay, gonna be London system time again. Starting with the knight. Getting the bishop next. Play e3. Are we gonna see another Chigorin? We've been actually seeing this Chigorin a bit less often compared to like what I normally see. Now it's time to get the Slav. Just gonna be playing e3. And interesting that we get to face knight h5. That is actually a bit of a sideline. I think we're just gonna be playing bishop e5. This might actually be mentioned in the course. And on knight e7, I think we play c4. And on f6, just bishop back. Yeah, we see knight e7, just c4. I think we're still following the course. And if they take, we take with a d pawn. Okay, gonna be doing that. e6, g4 just wins the knight. Pretty funny idea. I run less these days. Yeah, I see. Like, that's the same for me, but I think once a runner, always a runner. You just love running, so you keep doing it. Eventually, you're gonna come back. But you're still like in top shape, so it's like much harder to come back if you don't run for like a month or more. But you seem pretty active, so I guess you won't have that issue. Okay. Opponent actually goes e6, which allows the main trap of the variation. Just going g4, hitting the knight. And there's no square, because that's why we have played this move. Keep in mind, this only works when they play e6, because now the bishop no longer controls that square. So pawn is blocking the bishop and just get to win the free piece. Yes, I saw the girls at the fire stream. I actually saw a bit of that, not too much, but yeah, the English stuff is actually very common. It's not like anything new, or it was not like a specific thing. So yeah, I'm okay with it. You don't like it? I think maybe you don't like it. I think I'm okay with it. Okay. Opponent just goes DC. Just gonna trade queens, pick up the free knight. So even better that opponent's inviting us to enter the endgame. And see, like the knight's not running anywhere, so we could perhaps even stop by and collect a nice juicy pawn. Knight's got no moves. If we take the knight, that's fine, but the knight is not running anywhere. So you should learn to have a little bit of patience before collecting the reward. Okay, going for check. Just gonna be playing knight c3, idea to castle, picking up the knight. Oh, knight f4? That's Free to take, as far as I can see. Up a piece. King c7, we can just castle. Andrea speaking Romanian for so long was funny. I mean, she tried her best. I think she did okay. They just hit the bishop. And with this move, yeah, we're also covering f2, so opponent just resigns, and we actually get a pretty free win. So specifically in this love, knight h5, when that happens, well, to be honest, I was also considering to play like c3 and just show you how to play this pawn structure, which is playable as well, but I think this is definitely a bit better. Like if we can provoke him, make like an awkward move such as f6, can just go back, take this way, play bishop d3. This pawn is like pretty weak. And yeah, instead of this, he just played knight d7, where the idea is to actually keep the bishop there and now strike in the center, take advantage of the fact that the knight is on the rim. I think it's better for them to play g6, knight c3, and then we just play like maybe queen c2 castle, bishop e2. I'm recalling something like this that was given in the course. Just putting pressure on d5. And more so like attacking on the king side. So the rest was pretty simple after he played us and we got to win the knight. Alright, we're getting the white pieces. Gonna be starting with a knight against the d pawn, and c6 move is a clear indication that the opponent is gonna be playing a Slav. See, queen b6. Yeah, so this is actually interesting. Now, usually the algorithm here went to like, uh, play b3 or queen c1. I think we've got like a pretty easy plan in the course here. So ideally, we want to be playing rook b1 whenever facing queen b6 and just protect. That's not the case because the knight is in the way. Then the second thing that we should consider is whether we can play some kind of knight c3, queen b2, knight b5 and go for this kind of aggressive knight jump. Not the case with the pawn on c6 usually. And last thing to do is play queen c1. Remember, we never really play b3. It's always just queen c1. And the plan is to play e3, c4, and just expand on the queen side. Play this. c5, hit the queen, knight c3, just push the pawns. Really nice and easy game for white ahead. Just c4, yeah. Okay, actually against this, could make a Luft. I think Luft is fine. In case of that. And 94. Yeah, so I think I would just start with maybe bishop e2 against the weird 94 move. And against this, sometimes we like to delay castling because there might be some g5 incoming, but don't think that's like really the case here. And then we're just gonna be playing c4. It looks like the way opponent plays, he's got too many knights and too little squares. The knights are kind of staying over each other. He's actually like legitimately preparing that. It's a little surprising. Just gonna play with c4 anyways. g5, bishop e5 looks good. g4 just take. I don't really mind him taking with a bishop. He can't take with a knight because the rook is gonna be hanging. Okay, just play knight c3. If he just plays it like this, then this just ends up being a weakening if he's not like willing to use that for any kind of attacking ideas. So Just keep developing in normal fashion. Now, usually c5 is what we like to do, but just because his king is still in the middle, I'm keeping options to take and open up the position. Maybe it's something we could do here with knight b5, even though I really think the push is enough. Also, by the way, there's an idea to take, forcing pawn captures and knight d2. It's gonna be a pretty weak pawn. I think we wanna go for that. Like knight d2, bishop f5, kind of only move. Then, hmm. Yeah, bishop e6, pretty shady stuff. How do we punish this? Okay, I think gonna be taking, forcing him get the weak pawn. Gonna move the knight. This is a threat. Expecting bishop f5. Okay, against this, we can simply take and cash in the free pawn. Do we have better? I think we're just gonna be doing that. That should be good enough. Taking a 94. Pawn is a pawn, as they say. Can't really argue against the pawn argument. Here at least. f5, maybe just knight in there. Or c5 first, followed by knight e6. Yeah, I don't think we really do that. And just c5. f5, we get a knight. Allowing bishop d5, but I think the bishop won't stay there forever because we're going to be able to exchange it with bishop c4. Okay, rook d8, just offer the bishop trade. Ready to take it with a queen. If we exchange the bishops, it's again going to be like making the conversion way easier. And against that, just activate the knight, get a tempo, hitting f7, preparing to just keep expanding. Basically, pretty easy game ahead. Just gonna push the pawns. Also, by the way, could be breaking with d5, but that's kind of opening up his dark square bishop, so we should be a little careful with that. And at this point, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes rook d6, because just the knight is so annoying. It's literally restricting all of his pieces. And okay, b5 just do not take as knight hangs, so just move the bishop one step back. Now we've got a new target on b5. So gonna be pushing a4. Goes a5, interesting. But I think that still runs into a4. He goes, yeah, AB, we play AB. Take it with the knight, put the knight back onto d6. Maybe there's no even need to like grab this pawn. Kind of feel bad for taking it, but that's fine. Just reinforce the annoying knight. Actually could do this next. Trading the light squared bishop. But this is maybe the bishop that's kind of keeping his king side alive. Otherwise, my knight would have been hopping around like f5 square. Just get rid of that. This seems to be the simplest to me. Let me actually not pre-move because someone suggested me to stop pre-moving in the YouTube comments. So I'm gonna take it back with a queen. The opponent taking his time. Maybe I should have considered more a move such as b3, because I see a trick for him. Like in this position, if he plays b3, bishop takes, maybe b2. But I have bishop h7 check, king h8, and then, I mean, queen c2 takes, rook takes. I've got 2 pieces for the rook. I'm winning, but shouldn't have allowed that. Wait, I don't even have 2 pieces there. I think I have one and the knight for a rook. No, that was actually giving him very good chances for counterplay. We'll need to check that in the analysis tab afterwards. That would have been crazy way to make counterplay there for my opponent. I was simply not really paying attention. I'm paying attention to these kind of ideas though, so just sidestep that. Hitting the pawn, expecting rook b8, but then rook a4 should be slowly but surely winning the pawn. Preparing rook takes on b4. Okay, expecting maybe bishop f8 at this point. And I think we just move the knight somewhere. c4 should be good enough. Yeah, we get to see that. Knight f5, also good enough. Kind of everything is good enough here, frankly speaking. Just knight c4, I guess. Keeping the knight close to the action. Threatening rook b4. He could potentially play queen b7, but that's not really gonna save the pawn for too long. Can just literally use all of our pieces, winning that poor pawn, and gonna be having the 2 connected passers that should easily promote. Okay, queen there. I think we can use knight b6 as a pretty nice trick in exchanging queens. Rook's under attack. Take this pawn, we can simply unpin with knight d5 next. Potentially force a lot of trades, which should be making it like pretty easy to win. It's knight d5, making sure the rook is protected. Take this way, try to incentivize more trades. Key opponents happily entering this endgame. Threatening to push the pawn. If he takes the knight, we're queening. If he plays bishop d6, we have like knight d5 and c7, and we win the bishop. So that's like the easiest way to win now. And now the pawn escapes. This one got out of the package. The pawn is going for a big run. Yeah. Expecting resignation, I would assume, or opponent could very well disconnect. Why not? He was pressing the whole game and blundered and lost, right? Why not to just disconnect? Come on, dude. Okay, we won. There's one thing that I'm curious to check though. Now, everything looked nice and clean, but there was a moment he could have played b3. Oh, I got it. Okay, so b3. No. We take and b2. And the position I was analyzing was bishop h7. So I was analyzing this position and I said we are having knight and a pawn. Wasn't sure whether that's like winning or not. Apparently it's completely winning. Was not sure. Apparently even stronger is to go b2 queen c4. Something that I forgot about pinning. And then okay, it's obviously stronger with threats against f7. Wondering what the score was in that game. Only 86. Kinda gradual squeeze. I'm like okay about the way we played it. We won the pawn pretty early and was never really in doubt. Okay, getting the white pieces. Gonna be opening up with the queen's pawn and yes, d5. Starting with a knight. Wondering whether we're gonna be seeing any kind of Chigorin lines, but it looks like opponent starts with bishop f5, and I think I need to adjust some settings because it's not highlighting the last move. I'll take care of that in a second. Should be somewhere here. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so now we're good to go. Bishop f5. It is most likely gonna be transposing to the copycat lines or the Chigorin. It is Chigorin with knight c6 and bishop f5, meaning that they are delaying knight f6. And when that happens, you know that we're gonna be playing for the c4 break. And we do it immediately. Knight b4 is not an issue because of queen a4 check. And black has knight f6, e6, or takes as a move. All of them are covered in the course, obviously. Opponent goes knight f6. Taking would be pretty bad here because of knight captures hitting the bishop. So we just play knight c3. Knight b4, at the very least, can be met by rook c1. Not to mention there is queen a4 check. Now, I'm not super sure whether queen a4, pawn to c6, queen takes b4, e5 could lead to an unclear position. I just know that rook c1 is like a very easy way to deal with this. But my intuition says that, okay, this can be a bad move. He might just very well go back, which is a good sign for us. I think maybe then just continue with e3. Normal play. So let's see what opponent has in mind. To be honest, most people don't really realize that they have e5 idea. So opponent goes back. Now, in some variations, we could go for a quick cd and bring black's queen into the game pretty early and start attacking it. But here he can simply take with a knight. So not sure we want to go for such things this early. So I'm just going to be making a nice little developing move. Preparing to take back with a bishop. Expecting e6 to be played. And then maybe actually knight e5 could be a pretty strong move. I don't really see an easy way for opponent to protect the knight. I think we go for that. Let's see. Could have also continued maybe with cd5, bishop b5, or bishop a6. Like here, for instance, this and bishop move would have been pretty nice. Pretty sure we have many ways to be better against this, but decided that knight e5 is the simplest one. Just trying to take on c6 twice, win a pawn with a pretty comfortable position. Not sure what opponent will play. The thing is, they don't even have those motives where after knight takes on c6, queen d7, because the knight from c3 is protecting the a4 queen. And he's going for this move. Now, pretty sure this is the easiest way to deal with it, but knight c6, queen c6. Maybe knight b5. That's a little complex. Also, knight f7 is another move. I'm just wondering whether queen b4 could be disturbing. I think queen b4 can be a little unclear, threatening b2. And if we take, he takes with a knight, threatening a fork. So I think there's no need to enter those messy positions. Again, this would be like, both of these moves would be pretty tempting, double attacking. But I think the cleanest is just to go c5. Force the enemy queen to go back. And after this, I think, yeah, he's gonna go to d8. I can literally take twice on c6, forcing knight d7. But I'm also considering maybe bishop b5. And yeah, just take in that version. I think might be even stronger. So I think that's what I'm about to play. Yeah, just okay. This is good, but I think this is even better. Bringing another attacker, developing in the same time, threatening, to castle as well and finish development. So I think black is in quite a lot of trouble already. We haven't really made any like hard moves. It's just that maybe the c5 move was not the easiest one because it's pretty simple to get distracted in that position and miss some defensive resources that black might have. So knight d7 is pretty good defensive move, I would like to say. But okay, here there's a move to take with the bishop and then with the queen. Trade everything on d7. I think just this is simplest because we're gonna be keeping his knight pinned. Like also taking here and then taking with the bishop, completely winning, rook b8 and maybe just b4, maybe castle. I'm thinking about this because I think we can probably just combine it with knight b5 as well. When the bishop opens up, now I have a concrete threat of doing this and then the rook remains undefended. So expecting rook to b8. And then this looks pretty tempting. Probably forcing rook c8. Also, he just does this, but we can take, and he's paralyzed now, threatening a discovery. He clearly missed the fact that the rook remains undefended, but not to be condemned, his position was already quite lost, I think. Okay. Opponent pausing for a second. I think he just realized what he stepped into. Problem is that there's no way back for him. And okay, just plays bishop d3. Have many discoveries. I think simplest is to just play knight b6 and win the rook. Bishop takes on c7 is not really that strong, but anything wins here. But just discovery, hitting the rook. Could take this way, give up the knight, force the endgame. I think I'm just gonna take it with the knight. I know I normally say to trade all the pieces and go for the endgame when you're up material, but I don't feel like here we're in danger, so can afford doing that just to keep another knight on the board. Tries queen b8. Long castle is a pretty funny move, hitting the bishop and protecting. Next, I want to do knight takes c7. After he moves the bishop, I assume. I really like this long castle because it's both defending and attacking. Not just this. Idea to go for intermezzo and pick up the queen. He cannot really leave the back rank because of mate idea. Expecting like maybe queen c8. You thought the bishop prevented long castle? No, no, no. This is important role. There's like a pretty funny story that Fortunate once asked the arbiter whether he can castle in this position or not. Not this one, but something similar. Not sure that story is true by any means. I think, these kind of guys know the basic rules of chess. But at some point you think, okay, but what if the rook goes through the bishop's race? But it doesn't matter. Like the king is not going through bishop's path, so it simply doesn't matter. Like if the king won't go, like here, short castle is not a move because this is covered, but long castle it is because rook can't be in check, right? It's logical. But yeah, that's a good thing that you brought it up. I was thinking to mention it, but thought it's obvious. But obviously it's not. So he just, yeah, resigned here because no way to really stop this move. So just to win the game.